Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're Performance Agile. I'm Eric.
And I'm Vince.
Today's topics, we're going to be talking about training, workshops, and dojos.
So we're talking about training and learning. And our quote for today is from Benjamin Franklin, specific to learning. And Benjamin Franklin is quoted as saying, "Tell me, and I forget. Teach me, and I may remember. Involve me, and I learn."
So continuing the topic of learning, we both have a military background. You were in the military for 21 years, and I've been in the military for 8 years now. And one of the things the military does really well is training and education. It is embedded in the culture of the military that you must train and you must educate before you do anything. So before you can even put on the uniform, you have to go to basic training or officer training school, and then you have to go to your Air Force technical school, and you have to learn the job. But then whenever you want to upgrade your career path, your 3-level skills to your 5-level skills along your career progression, you have to go back to school. You have to learn more and do more to get to that next level of skill set. So something tells me that whenever we're about to talk about training, we're not going to talk about the 1 or 2 day courses that you just sit down in a room away from your peers, and then you come back and you take an online test. I feel like training for us means something a little bit different than it means to the average viewer. So why don't you tell them about our type of training?
Yeah, that's great. I couldn't agree more. Training does mean something very different to me, and I'm glad you pointed that out. So sure, as children, we go to school and we learn and we take a test, and then we forget what we learned and we kind of move on to the next subject or to the next grade. And then when we get into, out of college, because it's rinse repeat, right? We get out of college and we go to our first job, we start doing, right? And we really start learning our habits and behaviors, our patterns by doing, right? How we're taught. So we're taught on the job. A lot of what you just pointed out in the difference between, that whole culture and what happens within the military is grounded in everything that doesn't matter what branch of service. I don't care what job you have in whatever branch of service. It's training to prepare, training to do, and it's muscle memory. You learn and you do, you learn and you do, and it never stops until you retire or you move on. In our corporate culture, in our agile transformations, make no mistake. For me, now, I don't want to divulge my age, but learning for me still never stops. I mean, I will never consider myself to be at a point where, I can't learn anything new. I know everything there is to know about Agile. I know everything there is to know about this or this. You know what? If you hear me say that, I want you to call me out because, I personally believe that will never happen. And I don't care what the subject is, right? So when we're at work and we're learning to change these patterns of behavior and all of our beliefs and what we do and how we got there over time, whether it's through our academic system or learning on the job over the course of years, you have to realize that there's going to be some learning and some training that's going to be involved in an agile transformation.
So when it comes to trainings in an agile sense, where do we start there?
Well, we start on day one, right? So preparing. So in our previous videos, we talked about preparing leadership for all of the awareness and the decisions that they're going to make. That comes through some level of, training. We're level setting. We're setting that stage. We're making them aware of all of the different things that are going to be involved so that they are informed, so that they can make their decisions, informed decisions, right? Every decision that's made, even, like designing and executing on your product delivery model, It's going to require training for everybody who's involved in it. You have to know it. You have to understand it. You have to know how it works, all the bits and pieces, and then so that you can execute on it. And everything on this board, literally every card on this board requires training, but not just let's get everybody together on a conference call, or let's get everybody together in a room and let's, carve out 2 to 4 days of some certification training, and we're good because we just spent a bunch of money on that for X number of people. And so we should be Agile trained.
Because one of my big problems with training and recruitment is a lot of the job positions that you see say they want a Scrum Master cert, or a Scrum Master cert is preferred.
Mm-hmm.
But what that lacks is the context of how people work within that position.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but yes, that education is good. And yes, we want to see what you can do on the job, but you're talking about real in-depth training where you get into the nitty-gritty. You're going to get into the workshop phase after the training, right? That is your progression of, you're going to train them on what they need to know.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're going to walk them into a workshop to say, okay, I've trained you. Now we're going to do, right, back to that quote, because now we're going to involve them. We're going to reinforce those taught behaviors and make them learned behaviors.
Yes. We build in those patterns of behavior, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, so it's not just come in, let's do it, like we did in school. Yeah. So I learned it, I tested for it, and I forgot most of it because, I'm not actually doing it day to day.
I mean, I took calculus in college. I couldn't tell you what I had to do for that. I'd have to relearn the whole subject matter because I don't use it anymore.
Yeah, so I mean, it's pretty common, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and it happens. So, but we need to do it. It is a necessary aspect of our lives. The difference about what we're talking about here. So when we talk about training and workshops and dojos, so we're setting the table in training, right? We're going to literally from the frameworks to the ceremonies and the roles and the processes and the techniques and the problem solving sessions and all of that stuff. We're gonna cover them in one form or another in terms of formal training, right? We're gonna level set, get everybody on board, and that should not stop once you do it, because you always have new people coming into your organization. You have people rolling out, you have new people rolling in, so you should prepare some kind of a newcomer orientation, whether it's interns or it's just new people who have been in the workforce for 30, 40 years. Doesn't matter, right? This is what we do. This is how we do it. This is what the culture we're building here, right?
That's right.
So then once we do some kind of a formal training session and we have a team, right, that we want to say, okay, let's apply some of these things to what you do as a team. Let's get that group dynamic together and let's try something new. Let's experiment with some of these techniques. So that's a workshop. What you do is you kind of prepare everybody for why they're there, tell them what we're going to do, so they know why they're there, and then so now we start to have those activities to start doing with real work some of the things that you're doing. So it's a more of a relaxed atmosphere in terms of your outcomes. So you do want to be able to walk out of your workshops with a positive outcome, like we got something done, we accomplished something, because that's the whole purpose of why you do that, right? Now you can have as many workshops as you need for whatever area or whatever problem that you're working through or learning. And then you might progress your team into a dojo situation.
So what is the difference between a workshop and a dojo?
Well, there are some similarities, but the main difference is that the workshop is not a sprint. It might be in a sprint. So if you're in a Scrum framework, say, your team, and when I say the team, we really haven't got to the roles yet, but there's the big team and then there's the team, right? So when I say the big team, the big T team, that's pretty much everybody who's involved in whatever it is that you're working through, right? All of your stakeholders in this process. So when you bring them into a workshop, everybody's kind of learning for the first time, and it's probably you're going to call it 2 days or 4 days or whatever. They're going to learn it, and then you're going to go back to your work centers, and then you're just going to continue through your day-to-day activities. The folks who have really pioneered dojos, and there's Target. Target has areas of their buildings up in Minneapolis where you can actually go there for free. You can actually schedule time and walk through their facility, and they will show you how they're executing their dojos for free. They're very proud of it, and they should be. Other companies that are working on their dojo within the company to make a difference are companies like Capital One, Fiat Chrysler, ExxonMobil. A lot of companies are out there. They're experimenting with these dojos, and dojos in these other environments now are 6 weeks long. And within the 6 weeks, you have sprints that are 2.5 days long. So each sprint, following the Scrum framework, you go through the ceremonies, and you're learning and you're doing, and you're learning and you're doing, and you're learning and you're doing over the course of 6 weeks. Whether you're an engineering team and you're learning some new language, or you're learning how to do automated testing, if it's a testing or a coding dojo, you can apply the dojo framework to pretty much anything. But it's hyper focused, micro sprints, hyper sprints, and so you learn something, you do it over the course of 2.5 days. And you do a retrospective. And how did we do in the last couple of days? All right, let's plan for the next couple of days. And so it goes for 6 weeks. Unlike a workshop, you come in, a couple
like
days,
an 8-hour session or
and
something.
you're out. Right. So the dojos, you're in there for several weeks. In this case, these other companies have experimented with 6 weeks. So it's very focused, and you're doing it's repetitive. So, and then, a lot of these places are, they schedule these teams to come in and cycle through. And, a lot of these teams, they like what they've done in that short period of time, and they try to continue that on, which is really the cool thing. So that's a different aspect between the workshops and the dojos. So we've established that the training is a big deal, right? And it likely is a big investment because it involves everybody, right? And it's an ongoing thing. There are different types of training. There are different lengths of the time that will be invested in whatever type of training that we're talking about. There's training for all levels of the company. When we were talking about some of that and these training and workshops and dojos, I think just to make sure that everybody who's watching this is clear on what we are trying to say, let's kind of give them an example. And let's be a pizza company. What do you think our pizza name should be?
We're going to call ourselves Performance Agile Pizza.
It's very creative.
Yes.
Yeah. So what do we do?
Well, right now, we make one of the best New York style pizzas on the market.
Okay.
We've been around for 20, 30 years. We have a long-standing legacy and tradition, and we are a little set in our ways on how we do things. Like, we have a formula that is not to be altered, and we are very much a couple of CEOs with a very ham-fisted top-down approach where we tell our chefs exactly how much sauce, how much cheese, how many pepperonis, 20 to be precise, all spread out throughout the pie. Right? We're very controlling, and we've got some feedback. We've done some analysis and some market research that suggests that, well, other competitors have entered the market, and they are also coming out with a superior pizza. And we need to adjust. So what do we do?
Well, so have we as a company over the years realizing that, our customer feedback has been so-so, right? And we're not quite keeping up with the demand that we once were able to do, right? And now there's competitors out there that are beating us to our customer base, and so we're kind of falling behind. I think what we did was we added layers of oversight, right? We were trying to figure out what are we not doing? What are we doing wrong? How can we correct it by throwing more people at it, right? So rather than problem solving and looking at, where is our waste? What is our process? If our employees aren't efficient and our employees aren't happy, they're not going to make the best pizza that there ever was, right?
Right, and if we're not allowing them to bring their skill set to the table, like we're hiring world-class chefs to like design pizzas for us, but we're saying you have to use this much sauce, and we're not letting them play within their skill set and expertise, we're not really going to grow as a pizza company either.
We hired world-class chefs, and we're telling them exactly how to make these pizzas.
Doesn't make sense, does it?
Right. Jeez. Okay. So now that we've established that, right? Now we as a corporation, the CEOs, we have decided, you know what? There's a better way to do this.
It's taken a while, but we've seen the errors of our ways.
Okay.
We're human.
Right. We're people. So we're going to, we've heard about Agile. So we're going to apply Agile values and principles and some techniques and some methods to change the way that we make our pizzas, right?
Okay.
Well, did you wake up this morning being the end-all, know-all of what all that is?
No, I'm still trying to figure out what the word agile means. I'm really confused on big A, little a. I need some help to understand the difference between the two.
Okay. So we should probably do some research, hire some consultants, bring on some coaches, right? And establish, what is it that we know? What is it that we don't know? Where do we need to focus? What do we need to change? So let's establish all that and put a training program together to get the company knowledgeable on all of the different things that we are targeting and focusing on in terms of changing our culture within the company so that we are more progressive and efficient and adaptive to all of the different market demands and our customers' desires, etc. Right?
Right. So
okay.
For this hypothetical, let us say the coaching smashing success.
Smashing success.
They did their job so well.
We love coaches.
And we are now some of the most informed CEOs about agile pizza making on the block. So in the concept, in the context of training workshops and dojos that we covered today, now we're bringing it to the teams. We're bringing it to the people doing the work.
Yes.
How do we introduce this to them?
So we're listening now a little bit more to what our customers really want, right? And so now that we're still making our pizzas the way that we
haven't changed processes
we haven't changed our menu, but we've changed our process on how we are performing internally as a company, right?
Sure.
So what we've done is we've changed some of those processes, and we're going to bring our pizzas into these workshops once we know what these new processes are, and we're going to make our pizzas using this new way of making pizzas. But have we changed our pizzas at all?
You said we haven't changed the menu yet.
We haven't changed the menu yet.
So it's still that same flagship pizza that we're known for.
Right.
But we're now going to make it a different way.
A different way. So now that we've experienced that and we're doing that and we're actually seeing some of the benefits now of all of that customer interaction and that customer feedback, right? And we're learning as we go in much shorter intervals of making adjustments to the pizzas that we have. We've discovered that hey, let's get our top pizza making team into this super focused, hyper micro condensed environment to learn how to make a different style of pizza.
Okay.
So that we can, instead of taking several sprints that might take, oh my gosh, might even take a couple of months, right? Let's just do it in a few weeks, like no more than 6 weeks, and invest that team's time into learning using this new cool process, this new cool framework, but let's shorten the amount of time. And oh, by the way, let's try something new and see what happens.
Yeah, so it sounds like within our dojo, it sounds like we're going to employ a lot of different techniques here, like some rapid prototyping, maybe even some spiral methodologies of we need to plan, act, do, check, right? The
plan, do, check, act.
Yes, thank you. The PDCA loops of we're gonna talk about what we're gonna do, then we're gonna do it, then we're gonna check what we did, then we're gonna assess what we did, and then we're just gonna continue that loop.
That is the forerunner of our Agile Scrum, iterative stuff, right?
Right.
So yes. So we are going to learn how to change our corporate culture. We're going to try some new processes. We're going to incorporate some new mindsets and some new techniques. And then we're going to provide an environment to bring our people in, and we're going to learn and do something new at the same time in a very short, condensed period of time.
All right. And you said we might even learn how to make a new style.
A new pizza. Style.
So if anyone's not familiar with the Illinois style Chicago deep dish, if you've ever been to Giordano's up in Chicago, it is bread on the bottom, and then your ingredients in the middle, and then sauce on the top. And that is very different than a New York style, where you have those big wedges that you have to like fold over on top of each other and use both hands to eat those things. Those are like those really big styles. So let's say in our hypothetical, our flagship product was the New York style of pizza.
Mm-hmm.
And then our analysis of the market suggests that, the New York style pizza just wasn't doing its best in the Midwest. That kind of makes sense because New York being on a coast, maybe the Chicago style, which is in the Midwest, would do better in the Midwest. Hypothetical, that could be totally off base. But you're saying now that we're going to train our people to make a better New York style of pizza first. And then we're going to work down to the dojo level. We're going to learn new ways of doing things. And if the Chicago style of pizza comes out to be a superior product through the new process, we might even switch up the menu a little bit to reinvigorate our customer base to bring them back to us.
Yeah, I think that the industry folks that are out there executing on these different styles of learning are really providing their teams with the right environment to safely experiment and learn something new with real, no kidding work in a very short period of time. And then that just continues. The outcome at the end of the dojo will determine really whether or not that whatever was learned continues on or not. So that's, I think, the beauty of it, really.
Yeah. So hopefully this analogy helped you understand and solidify some of the concepts. And if you loved Performance Agile Pizza, we can bring it back in future videos and continue down this path of...
All it did was make me hungry.
We can continue down this path of providing fake businesses as examples to help solidify concepts if that's something you enjoyed. So make sure to leave your comments in the section below.
And there you have it, another video. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and leave your comments down below, and we will see you on the next video.